and welcome back to the TSR Football Podcast. And we're here back in Hove in a really, really hot morning, to be honest. I am absolutely baking getting here. But yes, it's such a nice place, you know. Aircon's on. I feel like I'm a little bit more comfortable after what was really a bit of a disappointing night for England. We didn't actually cover the other England game, I want to just mention. So there will be both topics discussed today. But I will say, yeah, it was a difficult game. But I'm joined with Henry, mate. It's absolutely great to have you back on.
Cheers, man. Yeah, it's good to be back. Like you said, it's a bit too muggy for me. I don't know how you're wearing that jacket, even with the aircon on.
Terrible shower.
I'm kind of... The shades might come down during the episode, I can't lie.
In fairness, it is quite cool in here.
It's lovely, but yeah, England's performance last night, not so lovely, you'd have to say. But of course, we still got to talk about the opening game for England as well, which was a bit lovelier.
Yeah, it was. I mean, do you know what? Should we start a little bit with that? Because obviously we don't want to go like full analysis of that because it's a bit dead. But what I will say is I think the performance that we put in there, I was so excited. I thought, oh, wow, this is a really different England side. Definitely different to what I've seen under Gareth Southgate for such a long time. You know, we've always sort of talked about the style of players, never really matched the sort of players we've got. Although maybe you could say the frailty from that game to take into this one was a team was playing expansively against us and a low block Ghana, where I think we had near enough 80% possession for the large part of the game. I guess it's a moment of either individual quality or a mistake from Ghana, and it just didn't come.
No, it didn't. And I think, you know what really reminded me of in these opening two games is like watching Palace. And obviously we don't want to make it all about our club sides, but you do draw these kind of comparisons because in a similar sense, we were awful, especially in the Conference League against low blocks that are happy to just earn a point effectively. Because for Ghana, that point sees them qualify now after beating Panama. So fair play to them. They've done really well. But when you play against a more expansive team that's actually wanting to kind of come at you and attack you, there's a lot more space to exploit on the break. There's maybe a lot more room for error. I thought, you know, because of how they were defending last night, even if one of their players makes a mistake, there's two more behind him. And it got to a point where the likes of Madueke and Gordon, who I'm sure we'll touch on later, were just running straight towards a block of three defenders. And you can't get through it. There's nothing you can do. So I do think it's going to be a case of just getting through these games against the kind of more frustrating opposition to then be able to play the football that Tuchel wants to play against these kind of more attacking, expansive teams. And I think, you know, whether we win the entire thing or not, I think what we will see is that we will have better performances when we play the likes of a France, Argentina, Spain, than when we're playing the likes of a Ghana or a Panama.
I think when you look back on that first game, obviously the 4 goals were great. And the style of play was really nice. And that was maybe my one thing that I really took away from it. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel was getting a lot of criticism with the squad selection beforehand. I still don't think he's out of the clear with that yet, based on yesterday's evidence. But I would probably say that you can clearly see that the team is kind of playing in a certain way. I think he said at halftime, didn't he, said, if we're going to lose this game, we're going to lose it playing our way. Tuchel obviously has won trophies upon trophies, including major tournament trophies and Champions League with Chelsea, etc. Won the Bundesliga. He's a very, very established trophy winner. He knows what he's doing in these sort of moments. So it feels hard to sort of disregard his take on this. But I would say, and you rightly not touched on the names, a player like Wharton or a player like Foden, a player like Palmer, I can't help but feel like they maybe could have picked that pass, made that moment, created the opportunity, found that little bit of space where you've then got someone like Rashford on the other end of it. You've got someone like Kane on the other end of it. Don't get me wrong. Kane's miss yesterday was dark.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
But
well, they did come to him fast. I think you're spot on about those names. And actually, again, I'm genuinely trying to be as neutral as I can on this podcast. But I think that someone like a Wharton is just, and we said it in the first episode, he offers you something so different to what, you know, the likes of Rice and Anderson offer you. And I feel like those two players are very, very similar. And I think that Wharton, you know, he leads the Premier League metrics for pretty much every single type of long-range pass, line-breaking pass. And there was a graphic that came up on the screen yesterday that we hadn't made a single line-breaking pass, and that was almost 70 minutes in. And you do sit there and you think, what if he just had a Wharton?
Yeah.
Because he's not going to bring Jordan Henderson on. And I know all the players have spoke about how good he is for the culture and everything like that. That's fine. But then is there somebody else that can miss out? Because if you had that option then, and it's exactly what we said, against the teams where you're going to dominate possession and you just need that bit of ability to just see a pass that no one else sees. And also what I noticed again was that Gordon especially makes so many really good runs off the ball. And I was trying to, because I know that when you're watching England, and I was out in a pub in Brighton, and everyone's getting really excited by any slight chance or any time we go forward. I was trying to actually just watch the game for what it was, so that when we spoke about it today, I could actually bring a bit to it. And I think that Gordon was making countless really intelligent runs, whether he brings the fullback inside and then the left back can go forward, but it was never reaching him.
My trouble with Gordon, I don't know if he's good enough to kind of finish off what you're alluding to here. Because, I can say, he can run. He does make decent runs. And he does score goals. We've seen for Newcastle. He's a goal scorer. And he scores penalties. I can't help but just think that maybe with someone like a Rashford, especially in a game like this, I'm going to say it right now, I actually think that Rashford is one of the most underrated England players for quite a long time. I think he's one of our best players whenever he puts the shirt on.
And the fact he's also, that just on the club side, the fact he's available on quite a cheap fee and is willing to take a wage cut is huge.
I think he's a fantastic player.
But the game was screaming out for Marcus Rashford last night, screaming out for it. And he came on in, the 80th minute? And it was just 20 minutes too late. The fact that Madueke, for me, stayed on so long was mind-blowing because I thought he was really struggling. I
think the only thing I said on Madueke in the moment was Saka's injured. And that's kind of the only reason I thought maybe you can leave him on.
For sure, but it was the fact that he took Gordon off for Rashford, but then put Madueke over to the left.
True, yeah.
I'd rather have Rashford on the left because we saw what he did against Croatia. I mean, he comes on against tired defence. And yes, he's not the Rashford that we saw maybe at the last World Cup or the one before that. But what he is he's clinical and he's aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think we've really lacked like an aggressive cutting edge going forward. Just felt like very pedestrian, very sideways, backwards. No confidence in the wingers to actually take a man on. And
that's what I mean, and that's what Gordon doesn't give me that confidence.
He doesn't. But for me with Gordon, the only differentiating factor is that if you have somebody that can play those passes to him that nobody else seems to be able to see, but I think a Wharton would.
Yeah,
he can get through and he doesn't need to worry about beating a man because he's in on goal, and then he can play a ball across the cane or shoot himself.
Wingers that can't take on a man. This is
it's
nonsense.
Painful though.
Let's talk about Wharton's stats here because I've found some from his comparisons to other English midfielders. This is via Sportsman, and it says we'll go through the ones he's in the first. 56 key passes, 50 passes into opponent's area, 110 shot creating actions, 108 tackles, 52 interceptions, 219 ball recoveries, that's second, 220 progressive carries and passes, that's second, 170 passes into the final third, that's second, in comparison to every other English midfield option at the moment. He is statistically, in all actions here, of moments that is either going to create a chance or even ball recoveries, meaning defensive actions, he is simply the best of the rest. Yeah. And what you say about him finding a pass out of nothing, I just think when you've got a low block, of course, it is the hardest thing to defend in football. It's the worst opposition you can possibly face, no matter how good you are, no matter what sort of side you've got. It's always the hardest thing to face. However, when you've then got a setup with Madueke and Anthony Gordon to break down a low block, I just cannot see what you're expecting other than frustration.
For sure. And the reason as well that I think that Wharton would have been really good with the likes of Gordon is because he is so good for Palace with Ismail Assar, who is not the best dribbler. He's not very good one-on-one. He's not very good at actually beating his man with skill. But you play a ball in behind to him and he uses his pace and he's clinical and he creates goals. We played against low blocks in almost every game in that Conference League run to winning it. Every single game. And how did a lot of our goals come from? Either deep crosses from Wharton, incredible line-breaking passes from Wharton. Our goal in the final came from him carrying the ball, 40, 50 yards, having a shot on goal, and the rebound falling to Mateta. And it does feel at times that there's not... It's hard because I thought in the Croatia game, I thought Rice and Anderson really complemented each other very, very well. But I think that last night you definitely saw where they're so stylistically similar, you kind of really lack that cutting edge. And for what it's worth, I thought Anderson had a much better game than Rice did. I thought he was fantastic. Defensively, excellent. I just think when you're going to have the ball that much, like Rice and Anderson are both decent on the ball. Wharton is elite on the ball, elite, and he's not going to be at Palace
The
long.
Anderson thing was difficult because I think actually sometimes I did see him get overrun a couple of times. Same with Rice. I think that this is a credit to Ghana with how they set up. I thought they knew how to bully us physically, and I think that at times they did do that when it came to midfield options. I think that's kind of how it stemmed. I thought Fatawu was fantastic when he come on. He's such a great little player.
They have, but you kind of had to expect it. Jordan Ayew up front. When he was in the Premier League, he was the most fouled player every single season because he's really smart. He knows how to get his body in the way, and it's frustrating. And it was really funny watching it from somebody not supporting Jordan Ayew after watching him at Palace for 6 years, and seeing it, and you're like, oh my God, it's so frustrating. But every time it's a foul.
Yeah.
And I thought at first, actually, we were very fortunate with the refereeing decisions. I thought we were getting everything.
I thought we got everything, yeah.
We were getting
agree.
everything. Second half, not so much. But even then, again, it's the thing with watching it in a pub when, if we're being honest, there are a lot of people there that don't normally watch football or that are kind of only there for the social and for the drinks, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you kind of hear people like getting all outraged about decisions or lack thereof. And it's like, well, no, that wasn't a foul, or well, that was obviously a foul.
Yeah.
I think when Rice got booked, and everyone was fuming because everyone loves Declan Rice, especially all the girls for some reason. But it was really funny because you see all the lads looking at each other and be like, well, it was a yellow, wasn't it? It was an awful tackle.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think that we spoke about the squad selection at the start, and I just think that I don't think it's going to bite us in the arse because I think that we have enough quality, and yes, against the Ghanas and the Panamas, I watched Panama-Croatia last night. They looked really, really solid, Panama. That, in all honesty, probably should have won that game. They probably created the better chances. And I just worry that they'll set up in the same way as Ghana did. They're a similar team in terms of very physical, got a handful of decent attacking players, obviously not to the same level as Ghana. But yeah, it's one of those where, so often for England, the second game in the group stage at a major tournament is not very pretty.
No. And this was the thing I thought when we bought off Jude Bellingham, who had a poor game. I didn't think he was great.
I thought he had a poor game.
In his own admission as well, he said he got given man of the match as a fan vote, and he said, I don't know why I've got this. You should have given it to, one of the Ghanaian defenders. He said they deserved man of the match in this game. So yeah, fair play. But also, when you bring him off, as we know, he is capable of scoring, creating, doing something out of the ordinary. When you take him off and you bring on Eze, who's all right, I don't think you've really got that next best alternative off the bench. That's what I mean
Rogers
about
did
Palmer.
well. Yeah, I thought Rogers did well. I thought he came on and was very direct, like he is. And I think Eze's similar, but the only in the simple sense that they're confident in their own ability. But what I don't get is that beyond that, it really doesn't feel like there's much in terms of options for Tuchel off the bench, which is insane given like how many players he has. Do you know what I mean?
There's a difference between someone that is technically great, like Eze. I think he's a great player. I watched him score an absolute belter for Arsenal against, I want to say it was Bayer Leverkusen.
Yeah, the volley. Absolutely
unbelievable. I was watching from the stands and I was like, flipping heck, fair play. However, there's a difference between that sort of player who is capable of something like that, but does it every once in a while, to someone that it just knows that they can do it when they need to do it.
And it's not April and May. And in April and May, Eze is unbelievable.
There's a difference.
Outside of that, he's very inconsistent.
That's what I mean. Like, there's a difference in these players that can do it when they need to. Yeah. And I don't think that's a skill that's maybe appreciated enough in a lot of players. I'm going to pull a player out that I think Rooney rightly said we're taking for granted in our entire generation. They said we're disrespecting him. One day, we're going to look back on this player and think we really, really overlooked him for so many years and we've not appreciated just how good he is. And that's killing Mbappe. We're talking about Mbappe sometimes. Like, I see people kind of overlook him. This is one of the greatest World Cup players of all time already, and he's 27.
He's 2 goals behind Lionel Messi, who has now broken the record. He's on 16 goals, level with Miroslav Klose, at his second World Cup already.
He's already won it,
and he's
as a teenager.
And how old is he? Is it his third World Cup?
His third World Cup. He won it 2018.
Yeah.
Then he was a star of the show 22.
Scored a hat-trick in the final.
Which is insane. We got to 26. And again, he's shining.
Is he? And I think, finish on the England chat and then we definitely get into how good that is.
I want to link this back to England. But I'm saying, when you've got a player like Mbappe, who knows he can do it every single time. If he's got a moment, it's his moment. And
he creates them for himself as well.
He does. But you're talking about the links to Palace. I'll link to Brighton. You don't replace Joao Pedro with someone like Danny Welbeck, who's fantastic. I love Welbeck.
Yeah.
But if it's in the final of a game,
I'm
backing Pedro every single time in a penalty, in a moment. And I think those sort of players come around every once in a while, and we've spoke about it before, but they get at the arrogant stuff. I don't think when you take off someone like Bellingham that is capable of doing something like that for someone like Eze, I don't think you've got that next best alternative. I probably would say the only other one who I can remember for England shining in that respect was Cole Palmer. Palmer did it in the final against Spain last tournament.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic in that game. He made something out of nothing. We didn't deserve anything there.
Do you think there's an element of it where Tuchel maybe accepted that it was going to be a draw, and he just thought, you know what, we'll get some minutes in the legs for the other boys? Because I don't think you take Bellingham off if you really want to win that game. I just don't see the logic.
That, maybe. I mean, I think I'll give credit to Nico O'Reilly. I thought he was quite good when he came
fantastic.
on. I loved how he inverted.
He should be starting, man. I like Jed Spence, and I appreciate his lack of handshake for Thomas Partey.
Yeah, can we talk about that quick?
We can, yeah. Because, I mean, the fact that... and also shout out to Gabby Logan as well for actually calling it out completely for what it is on BBC. Like, you know, that's how it is. That's the situation. And, you know, we can all kind of beat around the bush and shy away from it, but he's facing 7 counts of rape, and that's what it is. Obviously innocent till proven guilty, but, you know, he's going on trial, which means there's probably a fair bit of evidence. Achraf Hakimi as well will stand trial in France. Cristiano Ronaldo's had allegations against him in the past that have kind of just been brushed away because of how good he is at football. And I do think that, you know, it's an important conversation because these people are role models. They're role models for young men. They're role models for children. And when you platform somebody that's either done or has been accused of doing those things, and obviously if they haven't done them, if they're proven innocent, then that's absolutely fine. But to have, like I said, 7 charges against you is an awful lot. And I think that Jed Spence opting not to shake his hand actually sends a much more important message than maybe you even think on the surface level.
I agree. And this is why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought it's my platform and I'm going to say it if I want to, because I think a lot of people will shy away from it. You're right. Yeah. And like, it's a shame, I think, because of how subdued it gets. And I remember there was players at Brighton had the same thing, and you get a hard time if you talk about it. And you're like, well, yeah, but I don't think they should be on the pitch. I don't think Partey should be on the pitch for Ghana. I think it's absolutely right that Jed Spence didn't shake his hand. It's a shame that Moore didn't. And I agree. I think it's fantastic that Gabby Logan brought it up. I think I couldn't believe she did, if
also,
I'm honest.
in the way she did as well, because they were all kind of having a laugh and a joke, and then she just turned to the camera and said it how it is. And that's exactly, you have to be very brutal with these things, because that's the reality of it. And as a woman, you know, and I'm sure like the female players at Arsenal were probably greatly uncomfortable, because whether those allegations are true or not, they exist, and they exist for a reason.
That's the thing. They don't just exist.
No.
Right? They're not, you know, as you say, I would change the term proven innocent to not guilty. I used to do law.
Yeah. No,
and I know that'll get me in trouble to say proven innocent. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, it's mental that we live in a world where it gets so funny about it. I just think it's right and wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any more to it than right and wrong. If someone's done a bad thing, they should be treated until they've sorted it out. If it's proof that they didn't do anything, great, happy days.
Yeah, 100%.
But if not, and we've got this ongoing situation, which at the moment is still an ongoing situation, how is he allowed on the pitch?
I know,
in
and
a major tournament?
then of course his ex-partner or victim came out and shared loads of screenshots 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
From WhatsApp,
So
Snapchat, etc. We've all seen those messages, and it was never denied that it was him in those messages. It was just kind of I don't know. It's just like
people claim it's like Photoshop, but it wasn't.
Or you like step around it and say, oh, like it was kind of like maybe they were into that. Maybe it's no. Like, come on, man, you can't do that. And I think it's really important that, especially given the context of it, saying it on the broadcast of an England game, given the context of the issues with domestic violence surrounding England performances, whether it's a win, loss or a draw, especially at major tournaments, and how the domestic violence numbers spike drastically when England don't do well. I think that addressing it for what it is face on was so important. And genuinely, like you said, I was shocked that they allowed that to be aired like that, but I think it's really good.
Well, Jed Spencer's now a national hero in my books.
100%.
Apart from his performance, maybe wasn't the best. I'll put it back to a footballing point
not
of view.
the best.
But I didn't think he was probably the worst player on the pitch.
No. What did you think of the centre-back partnership? Because obviously Stones Conser started the first game. I don't think did very well. I thought we were a little bit haphazard defensively, and I thought actually we would probably make quite a couple of mistakes, which led to the Croatia goals. I thought that Gay and Konsa last night was a lot more assured.
It was better. I think Konsa has given me a few worries at times. I thought his decision to go in for that tackle, which was not a tackle, it was a penalty.
Do you think that was a penalty?
100%.
I don't know how they didn't even... I mean, they didn't talk about it because it was England, but surely...
That was a pen for me.
Did they check it?
Apparently it was because it was offside, but I watched it back and I'm pretty sure he's not.
Oh, well.
So... Yeah, this is the thing. I do think we got away with one.
Konsa's a bit, but I think that's why you have to have Mark Gay, because I feel like Konsa and Stones have an error in them. Gay is so assured.
But how's he putting a challenge in like that in a major tournament? Plus, in a moment like that, I think there's only like 5-10 minutes left of the game.
Yeah, it was an awful tackle as well.
What was he thinking? You know, I think that we need to say that because, yeah, I mean, Konsa's a good centre-back. He was fantastic sort of ball control as well at times. He's great with the chest. I think he's a nice player on the eye. Defensively, more often than not, I'm sure he's absolutely fine. Obviously, I'm not an Aston Villa fan that watches him week in, week out.
He is fantastic.
But he's a good player.
Yeah.
But with that said, I just saw that little moment and I'm thinking, that's a rush of blood to the head. Don't do that in a big game against Germany. This is exactly what I mean,
and this is why Gay should start every game, because he doesn't have those moments. And again, bias aside, he doesn't even play for Palace anymore. He was England's best player at the Euros.
Yeah,
he like in his first major tournament for his country, it was either him or Bellingham and like it was kind of quite widely agreed that wow, that was okay. He's good. He's a lot better than maybe people that didn't watch Palace every week expected. And I think you have to have that composure because he's also great on the ball. I mean, every time, and he moves the ball so quickly as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's not as much kind of dilly-dallying.
I love the Gay.
In the first game, Stones, Konsa, just kind of play a couple of passes between each other. Mark Gay gets on the ball, where can I go? How high up the pitch can we get the ball? How quickly can we do it? And I reckon Tuchel probably really appreciates that as well.
He's sort of that modern centre-back as well because he adds that defensive action to his game as well as that leadership quality. I think the age at which he was captaining you, I think, as
22.
well. Like, 22 captain. You know, he's got that in his DNA to be a leader.
Yeah. But he leads by example as well. He's maybe not the most like kind of... Like he is definitely very vocal.
Yeah,
but
he's not a huge personality.
He's not very performative.
No.
He just, I think, for the most part, just leads by example. He leads in the sense that he does his job and he doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think he's a fantastic player. I think Manchester City signing him is only going to make him better.
Yeah,
and for England's point of view, that's great. I think he is the nailed-on starter for England. If I'm honest, I was actually just more as to say looking at Konsa. A bit here and there. You know, if you've got a player like Maguire at home, I'm just kind of thinking with the amount of experience in English football that he's had and in international football that he's had, I'm surprised that they've not bought Maguire with them.
So we look so poor from those corners.
Yeah. Whereas poor. Maguire wins those sort of headers.
Yeah.
You know, he's a goal scoring centre back as well. And also, yes, okay, he makes mistakes for Manchester United in the past, but he doesn't tend to for England at the best of times.
No, he doesn't. And the number of goals he scored, the threat that he provides. I just think that, I mean, the last thing I have to say on that game is that the set piece delivery was absolutely diabolical. I think we beat the first man once out of maybe 17 or 18 free kicks or corners.
It's quite ironic after celebrating Rice on corners last week.
Absolutely shocking. And yes, Ghana have a lot of height in their defence. And yes, they're good. Like, these are good defenders. They are pretty decent. But to fail to beat the first man is the biggest crime in football for me from a professional.
I agree.
You cannot not, especially like corners. Sometimes I get it. You're trying to kind of hit a decent amount of pace on it. You can kind of underhit it sometimes. You can hit a bit too hard on the ball and it just doesn't get the trajectory. Free kicks, there is no excuse. Deep free kicks, if you're hitting a first man that's standing on the corner of the box, that is embarrassing. And we did it so many times. Should we talk about the golden boot race? Because it's mental.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's probably the next best thing, I think.
It's mad.
Messi, Mbappe, Ronaldo now.
I'm not having this. Okay, so on the Ronaldo thing, Lionel Messi scores 5 goals in his first 2 games. He breaks the all-time scoring record at World Cup finals. He's the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. He's fantastic. Ronaldo was awful in their first game. He then scored 2 goals against Uzbekistan, who, as we know, are probably more well-known for producing MMA fighters than footballers. And suddenly, he's looking at the camera going, I'm back. No, you're not. I think the biggest problem with me for Ronaldo is that he really is desperate to be the best. He really wants to be the GOAT. I doubt Messi cares. I don't think he probably even gives it much consideration because he's just very good at football when he plays it. And I worry for Argentina because I think that they're very reliant on him. But you can be reliant on Messi because he's Messi.
You know what? When you said about being
goals.
reliant on Messi, I think that was just personified in that goal that he scored. Was it his second goal?
The second one, especially.
Where everyone sort of tried to have a go.
He tries
and
his
he was
best,
like, you know what? Just give it to me.
Yeah.
And he made that goal happen himself. I think there was 2 or 3 other Argentine players in there.
Well, he's passed it to Alvarez, who's missed. He passed it to Gonzalez, who missed. And then he's had a shot blocked, and he's the one that gets on the loose ball, even though that Alvarez is standing next to it.
Yeah, no, it was a good moment, to be fair.
His first goal in that game was fantastic as well. Vintage Messi.
All of his goals have been fantastic, really.
But this is the thing, it's like, am I going to give much credit to Ronaldo for scoring twice against Uzbekistan, and neither of them were very good goals?
The second one was good.
Second one was all right, but like, it's against Uzbekistan, and I understand that, like, yes, Messi's were against Austria and who was the first team they played? I can't even remember.
I can't remember. But I'm going to say to you right now, which might be unpopular, I'm just happy to see everyone doing like unbelievably. I think it's the last time that we're ever going to have a talk about Messi, Ronaldo, potentially Mbappe in this respect. I mean, in terms of like the sheer burst of pace and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think it's just brilliant to have every single big player actually turning up
and being fit for a tournament other than Neymar, which is a shame. But
Neymar's been at my reckoning for a long time.
I don't think even if Neymar was playing, I don't think he'd be doing that much. I think it'd be exciting and nice to see him play, but I don't think he'd be lighting up the tournament in the way that these guys are. It's the first time that any player has scored two or more goals in consecutive games, and 3 of them did it. Haaland, Messi, and Mbappe.
That's what I mean.
If you put 10 grand on that, you would have won £1.5 million. And I saw a guy that did that. It's never been done before. Like, not a single player has done that. And bear in mind that you look back through the kind of the top scorers of every single World Cup in history, between 6 to 8 goals, maybe like 9 at a push. Mm-hmm. And these guys are Messi's already on 5. Mbappe, Haaland already on 4. You know, it's absolutely
But football fell off,
insane.
didn't it, Henry?
But this is the thing. Football felt like it fell off because of the Premier League, but I think we've seen it, and these games have been so entertaining.
Yeah.
Norway have been fantastic.
I changed my mind so much to the Champions League. Watching PSG play football, I just thought this is a breath of fresh air.
You're like, okay, the game is definitely not gone.
Watch Bayern Munich, breath of fresh air, and you just think, God, I have to watch the Prem every week. Yeah. You know, that's why I feel so depressed watching football half the time, because the games are boring, players are diving, time wasting. I just think the ultimate way of winning the Premier League, as Arsenal proved, it's just time wasting their way through it. You know, frustrate opposition, low block them. And I just think when you then see the Champions League, it's exciting. You've got players like Kvaratskhelia on the wings who are absolutely incredible to watch, and they get you on the edge of your seat. Doué is unbelievable to watch, Mbappe, etc. You think, wow, you know, this is a different ball game to what I've been watching for the Premier League, I reckon, for the last 2 or 3 years.
I think we could take a lot from the refereeing at this World Cup finals.
Because 100%, yeah.
I don't like the hydration breaks. We've already spoke about that. I don't understand why they don't just stop the clock, and why it gets added on seems pointless. You know it's going to happen. Just pause the clock. But what I do really, really, really like is the general refereeing.
Yeah.
It's completely anti-diving. It's completely anti-time wasting. If you don't get off the pitch within, I think, 20 seconds or 15 seconds when you're substituted off, the player that's coming on can't come on for a minute.
That's brilliant.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what have you seen? Even when teams are 1-0 up, their players are running off the pitch, because otherwise their team's down to 10 men, and that's a disadvantage.
I'm with you. Like, I think I did a video on this World Cup new laws. I thought, please put this in the Premier League. The issue with it going in the Premier League, it's just not going to stick, because we've got referees that get run over by any single player with a bit of an ego on them. They don't listen to them. They never enforce anything. Remember that whole thing of, if the goalkeeper takes longer than so many seconds, they're going to give corners.
But you can hear it. You can hear it every time at this World Cup. 5, 4. You can hear the referee saying it. And they're just not here for bullshit. I love it. The referee in that Paraguay game was so funny.
Decision, red card.
Paraguay, number 10, puts hand over mouth. Decision, red card.
And who's going to disagree with him?
No, I wouldn't mess with him. But just generally, you know, players are going down softly. Referees are absolutely not get up, wagging their fingers, and I love it. It's the football has been, and yes, there's been maybe incorrect decisions at times, but the football has been so free flowing and end to end and much more exciting and entertaining, and it's exactly what the Premier League need to do. And I understand it's different governing bodies, but of course, I think Michael Oliver is the only English referee at the World Cup finals this time round. But hopefully he can take it back and say it worked so much better. It was so much better, and they're not as card happy. They're not flashing cards left, right, and centre. I think, the majority of games are having maybe 1 or 2 bookings at a push, and it's good to see. It's just resulting in a much more open, much more expansive, much more enjoyable tournament.
I agree.
And I think if we take that into the Prem, it will only improve the quality and the viewing experience for us as fans.
I agree. I hate watching the Premier League at the best of times these days, and I think I'm with you 100%. And yeah, I think in terms of sort of where we're at the World Cup as well, I think obviously a lot of the games have been missed because of the kickoff time. So a lot of people kind of haven't seen the best.
Maybe
by you, buddy.
Maybe by you.
I saw a lot of people saying, like, even I was on it as well, thinking there's so many absolute cracking games that I've missed at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But I do agree with you. The majority of the games that I've actually watched, you actually see more football more often than not. Apart from last night, there was a bit of stoppage. I think there was that injury, wasn't there? The head injury. And then they sort of time wasted. They didn't time waste that, but they lost the time by then going back to the hydration break afterwards.
They did that. And the players had a hydration break.
Yeah.
And the managers
because they all treated it as that. So that's where it's like a bit wrong, I think.
Well, and then obviously they proved that they're absolute nonsense and you don't need them in the France game. I don't know if you watched that one where the second half was delayed by, I think, like an hour and 15 minutes because of lightning strikes. And they just said, oh, well, we're not going to do a hydration break. 1, because it's pissing with rain, and 2, because the game's already been delayed so much. So therefore, you don't need them. Therefore, why are we always having them? England game last night, there was lots of rain.
It's just the ads in it.
Of course it is, and they're sponsored, and FIFA would have signed massive contracts with the likes of Gatorade or whoever's sponsoring them, and that's why. And I think I saw a video from, I think his name's Adam on TikTok. He does kind of like off the pitch sports marketing stuff, and he's absolutely fantastic. If you don't follow him, you definitely should. He's not paid me to say that, I promise. But his stuff is amazing, and he figured out that I think total for the entire World Cup, the TV channels across the globe will make 250 billion or something insane like that from these crazy adverts. And every single time there's an advert break, Fox make 250 million or something like that, which is insane. And then you're like, okay, well, that's why. That's exactly why they're doing it, because the amount of money is ridiculous. And obviously FIFA will be taking cuts for everything like that.
Yeah, that is mad. I didn't realise the figures were that crazy.
It's insane. I was mind blown. Yeah. Mind blown.
Who do you reckon wins the Golden Boot?
I think you've got to take into account who they play for. I think if Haaland was in a better team, I think he'd definitely have a chance.
100%.
But I'm probably gonna.
The fact that Haaland's up there, by the way, before you answer,
it's mental.
Like, considering he's in Norway,
well, it's their first World Cup in what 50 odd years.
Yeah, so I'm saying it's mad,
which is crazy considering the talent they've had over the years. But now is definitely their golden generation, and they're making the most of it. They look fantastic, and you know what I really like as well is Sirlot playing off the right hand side. That kind of archetypal number 9, but playing as a winger, and his hold up play is fantastic out there, and it's really kind of bringing the Norwegian side up the pitch and allowing them to attack. I think that they've been really, really good. For me, it's between Messi and Mbappe. My struggle with Argentina is I feel like that if they didn't have Messi, they'd probably not make it past the round of 32. I think there's a complete lack of conviction in that forward line. They do all look to Messi though, which is probably where I'd lean towards him. And obviously he's leading at the minute with 5 goals. I just think that the way that France play, the ability that Mbappe has, I could see them winning it and him being the Golden Boot winner.
What I want to say about Messi quickly, it's just absolutely exceptionally ridiculous as to how he's 38, nearly 39, and pulling performances like he is. Forget the goals. It's the way that he's scoring the goals and creating the goals and dribbling in and out like he's still 18. I think I saw someone say 18-year-old Messi, 28-year-old Messi, now 38-year-old Messi. Nothing's changed.
And they also said that the debate of the GOAT shouldn't be Messi versus Ronaldo. It should be 18 to 28-year-old Messi versus 28 to 38-year-old Messi. And I've never agreed with anything more. He is just, and it's also, for us, how old we are, we have just grown up with his entire career. And we've had the pleasure of watching him And I also saw people saying, I wish I tapped into La Liga a little bit more and maybe enjoyed him a bit more when he was at his best.
Yeah, if only we knew that La Liga wasn't always that amazing when we were younger.
Yeah.
You know, some of the players that were playing in La Liga for such a long period of time. But Messi is just... When I was watching that game, I thought, he is just taking them apart.
It's the way he plays as well. Like, he doesn't need to... He literally... Everyone used to joke that, like, kind of towards 30 to 35, he'd just walk around. He doesn't even move now. He will stand still whilst other players run around and try and win the ball. But it doesn't matter, because when they win it back, he sparks into life. He takes the ball. He beat 5-6 players, scores a goal himself. And he could genuinely play like that. If he avoids any sort of injury, which of course he's been really quite fortunate to do throughout his career, if he does that, we could be watching him at the next World Cup.
Yeah, you know,
and he'd probably still be doing it.
Have you seen the video of the? I think it was the 2018 World Cup.
Sure.
Yeah, it was the
retired.
2018, and I think the commentator's saying, "Well, Messi's going to be 35 at the next World Cup. I don't think he's going to be, you know, anywhere near. This could be the last time we see him in international football."
He wins that one, and then he's back
It's
and one of the best players there.
Ridiculous. The longevity to be able to put in them sort of performances is just ridiculous.
And this is why he's the greatest of all time. And for me, like, look, there's I do think that people very much disrespect Ronaldo. I think that a player that scored circa 1,000 goals in his career has been instrumental for the likes of Portugal, Manchester United, Real Madrid, of course, Juventus, all of these clubs. He's done it everywhere, all over the world. He is undoubtedly one of the best players of all time. But it's also not a slight on him to suggest that he's not aging well.
I think he's ruining his own reputation. I think that's the issue we've got. Because I think if Ronaldo didn't talk so much and maybe act in the way that he did, because I think sometimes I feel like he can't let go of the old Ronaldo that used to be.
I think Piers Morgan is doing
irreversible damage. Absolutely
to
agree,
his brand, because this guy is just bootlicking him constantly.
Yeah, that's what's killed him. For me, in my eyes, I now see that. I see them interviews. I see the horrendous stuff that comes out of them interviews.
But also just the way that his fans try, and it's like banging your head against a brick wall. There is no, like I said, there is no shame in the fact that Ronaldo is not what he used to be. But to suggest that he's still better than Messi, when you can sit down and watch Messi and then watch Ronaldo to this day. And people use the age argument. Ronaldo's what, a year, 2 years older than him?
I think what's crazy about the age thing, right? And I'll pull this about both of them. 41?
41 and 39 now.
39, pretty much.
I think it's his 39th birthday today. So happy birthday, Leo.
41 and 39. Right, this is now becoming really normal in football. Look at Milner, for example, retiring at 40. I feel like he could have gone another year or two.
Oh, 100%.
And the age bracket of retirement is just being pushed all the time. It used to be 35.
It used to be 30.
Yeah, 30 plus. We're talking about players declining. We're now talking 40 plus. You know, Ronaldo's 41 and still running in behind and tucking the ball past goalkeepers into the far post. That's a talent that, you know, it's exceptional. It's absolutely exceptional. I think we're seeing the absolute best of football in terms of athleticism, in terms of individual quality of all time.
We look at someone like Zlatan. I reckon Zlatan could still play to this day, if I'm completely honest. Henry probably still do a good job.
Henry could kick it about like maybe.
I reckon in the
championship,
Henry would score like 15 goals. That's my hot take. I think he'd be fantastic. But this is the thing, and these players are just incredible. And you know, we are, like I said, we're so lucky to be able to watch this World Cup and see as many names as we've listed off just being at the top of their game.
Everyone says this is our lucky moment. I feel like the next generation is going to be even crazier, because look at the numbers that Haaland pulls out, for example, right? Look at the numbers that Mbappe's pulling up, for example. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. And I don't think that Haaland in 10 years' time is going to be any different. If anything, I think he could be even better. And the way of nutrition, the way of athleticism nowadays, and the way that people look after their bodies, I can't see anything else apart from maybe a 45-year-old Haaland retiring, a 46-year-old Haaland retiring. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to say.
No, I completely agree. And I think there's something also really exciting about the fact that we, you know, at the time, you know, I've spoken to my dad about this, spoken to people of that generation. Nobody thought they'd ever see anyone like Maradona ever again. And then Messi came along. And now, like, I'm not moved to that extent by anyone even like
Yamal, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
but even then he's not Messi's level for me. But it's so exciting because there will be a player, and That's brilliant. And, Haaland came out of nowhere, man. Like, do you remember when he was at Dortmund, even before that at Salzburg, and you were like, this guy's sick. This guy's really cool.
I remember watching him.
Could
I
he
think
do
it was Salzburg and Mulder, wasn't it?
Could he do it?
And
at Dortmund, I mean, I followed Dortmund for a while. Back then when he played there,
same, yeah.
Switched to Bayern Munich when Elise went there. So that's treacherous, but it had to be done. But like loved Sancho, loved Haaland there. And you were seeing him in those Champions League nights, that goal he scored, the noise at the net, mate, and you were like, okay, this guy's pretty good. And Mbappe breaking through at Monaco, absolutely destroying the likes of Manchester City, that kind of thing.
We've seen both of these guys' careers from the beginning.
But we will continue to see these the likes of these players coming through, and it's kind of scary and it's kind of exciting. Scary in the sense that we don't know, especially for England, who's next after Kane, because Watkins is old, Tony's old, relatively. These players are all kind of getting on. There isn't really a kind of next up England striker that isn't right now like 17 or 18. And obviously we know that at that age, anything can change and these players might not make it. Yeah, there's a few lads at Chelsea, there's a few lads at United, whatever, in the academies. But who is actually going to be next up? We don't know. There could be no one. And it could be the fact that we've had one of the greatest strikers of his generation and then we are going to be playing with, I don't know, the equivalent of an Ashley Barnes up front.
Never disrespect Ashley Barnes.
It wasn't disrespectful, but relative to Kane, I think that's a fair point.
No, I agree. I think we are very, very lucky, to put lightly. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything at this stage. Obviously, the World Cup is just constantly changing. There's so many sort of upsets. One little mention to Cape Verde, please.
Brilliant.
What an unbelievable tournament for them. Obviously, the draw against Uruguay, the way that Vozinha went from 40k followers to around 15 million followers.
It's mental.
That's insane. Goes to prove that you have sports like basketball, for example, absolutely nowhere near the level of football when it comes to...
Tom Brady, who built an entire career, one of the most well-known NFL stars of all time, and he gets eclipsed by a Cape Verdean 39-year-old or wherever. It's
40.
mental. Eloy Room as well, Curaçao keeper, went from that awful game really against Germany. And I remember tweeting, not too disappointing in Curaçao, but the keeper's definitely got room for improvement. And then he was amazing, man of the match, most saves ever in a World Cup game. It's just brilliant, and I'm loving this format. I'm loving all the teams, the Haitians, the Cape Verdeans, the people from Curaçao, all of these countries, even the likes of Jordan, Iraq, Iran, that they've contributed to this tournament. Jordan were fantastic against Algeria and unlucky to lose 2-1. It's been brilliant watching all of these nations, and it's exactly what the World Cup's about. We're getting more football. All of the games are pretty entertaining for the most part. I just love it. It's fantastic.
I agree. And you're creating stories, legacies, people that are going from nothing into literal heroes. I think that's insane. It's the power of football is absolutely insane. I don't think anyone really appreciates it until you see something like the Vozinha moment, for example, where you've got someone that's literally just playing in the second division of Portuguese league, couldn't afford to get his mum out with the visas, to then going into what is now a global icon. It's probably going to be set up for life in terms of a media career.
It's incredible. And
it's mad.
And exactly like you said, that's what it's for. These moments, platforming, sort of with James Rodriguez. Yeah. He took the World Cup in Brazil, platformed himself, got himself a £80 million move to Real Madrid. This is what the World Cup's for, and obviously you have that on different levels. Vozinha might be whether it's Instagram followers, whether it's a career after football or away from football, or even with Vozinha being able to that performance against Spain meant that his mum could get to America to watch him. Even just little wins like that, and it's what it's about, man. I've loved it. The DR Congo guy finally got back in. He was at the game last night. It's just great to see. It's really good to see, man.
I agree. Love it. Love the World Cup. Love having you on, mate. Absolutely brilliant, as
Cheers,
always.
Mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. Do you think England top the group?
I think we top the group. I think we beat Panama. I can't see Ghana beating Croatia personally. And I think it's important that we top the group in terms of who we're playing going forward.
Yeah, and for kick-off times as well.
Yeah, definitely for kick-off times. Topping the group is vital.
Yeah, definitely. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to us today. Waffling around about England World Cup, etc. Make sure to get involved. Follow TSR Football. All the links and stuff will be in the description. Henry stuff as well. And we'll see you soon. Shout out to Mia behind the cameras as well. Proddy M.
Proddy M. Shout out Proddy M.
Proddy M. That's the name. Her links will be there as well for the editing and all this cool stuff behind us. Shout out to Etch. Make sure you come here. And we'll see you probably next week. Yeah? definitely next week. Right. See you soon and goodbye.